no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by any means necessary. They are willing to violate the U.S. Constitutions at levels never seen before in order to win this election. Joe Biden is a threat to democracy. It's a threat. They're weaponizing law enforcement for high-level election interference because we're beating them so badly in the polls. It's no wonder crooked Joe Biden and the far-left lunatics are desperate to stop us by...
Well, there the attacks go. They're coming hard at it again, taking them off the ballot in Colorado. It's official.
It is official, and we're here to cover it because this is going to be interesting. I think that they're attacking as hard as they possibly can because they have to stop him. Because if they don't stop him, that's the end for them. They're done. Deep state is gone.
Well, this will either damage him. People are saying it's going to damage Trump, or people are also saying that it's going to propel him and, further his chances in winning. Because what does Donald Trump do? He capitalizes off of negative press.
That he does. And we've seen with the indictments, how much stronger did he get from getting indicted and raided? His campaign was neck and neck with Ronnie Boy. And then he got indicted, he got raided, and he has never been stronger than he's ever been in his life. Right now, he's got more support because they attack him, and the American people then see him fight, and we love watching him fight.
Awesome, man. We're here to cover it. We got the latest details on Donald Trump being disqualified from Colorado. Man, there must be a lot of liberal lefty types that support this out in Colorado. Only can imagine.
Yeah, it's a bastion of liberalism, and it's probably the only reason that could get through is because most sensible people would be like, okay, trying to use a novel concept from the 1800s to get a person off the ballot who didn't actually do anything wrong and has never been convicted of insurrection is far out. And we'll go into it a little bit deeper as we get into the story a bit more.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It is BasedCast 76. Trump's off the ballot. We have huge border crossing coming across the border. Record number is like 15,000 just in the last 24 hours, which December is usually a dormant month for immigration, and it's coming off. So it shows you where we're going with this country and where immigration is currently standing. So let's go into the show. I'm excited to be here. Let's go. Well, all we want for Christmas is Donald Trump not to be prosecuted, not to be sought after by the deep states. Will it ever end? Find out. Tune in now.
Tune in. See if we get our Christmas answered. Christmas wish. I actually like seeing him under fire. Part of the reason why is it has shaped him. He came out in 2016. Everyone attacked him. He went hard. He made it his mission to go after the deep state. We're watching him get attacked now. I do think in 2022, he was kind of comfortable. And then when they started going after him, his rhetoric started hardening and his defiance towards the deep state got even more... He got even more resolute in his mission. And I kind of like that because we can see the Matrix attacking. We can see the deep state's tentacles trying to grab him and pull him down. But if there's one man who can take on the deep state and actually win, it is Donald Trump. So I do like actually watching them attack from every single angle because then the American people can see it. Because 2016, Donald Trump says the deep state. Who are they? I don't know. I just like the term deep state. Now I can look at it and go, that's deep state. That's deep state. That person right there is a swamp monster. So I do actually like the fact they're attacking him because I can see it. And I think that the rest of Americans who are smart enough to be able to notice it can see it as well. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that American people are actually seeing it at this point? And do you think that's one of the reasons why his poll numbers keep going up compared to Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley?
As long as you're not attached to corporate, narratives that are backed by big pharma and bureaucracy. Anybody that's paying attention to alternative media and paying attention to claims that aren't paid for by the big institutions understand and can see really what's going on. I mean, you piece everything together. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that it's politically motivated, and you can understand if you have any basic understanding of a court system and how court systems actually work. You can see that we have a two-tier justice system, and the legal grounds that they make for their case against Trump, I think, comes off the back of a very, very corrupt justice system.
Yeah. But one of the things, because I do agree with what you say, I just think that American people have to go through it. They have to see it in order to actually believe it. And so now that's on full display. We're watching our prize fighters go up against each other. We're watching the deep state on one corner and wearing the orange hair on the other corner, Donald Trump taking them on. And so I do think it's interesting. I don't want him to be crushed and destroyed by that. I want there to be precedent set, because I know you were telling me about this before. Take it away, like about the precedent.
What precedent?
Oh, with the Supreme Court, that the Supreme Court could actually, there is no case because it doesn't actually state that it's the president of the United States that or the person running for the president in the United States. It says Congress, Senate, and all the other people therein. The people who wrote this amendment were smart enough not to put that in there, because you can accuse your rival, of course, of being a, insurrectionist and take them off the ballot. So that they wisely don't have that on there, and so they're using a novel concept. And I do think that the Supreme Court is going to shoot this down, because how can they hold that up if there isn't actually any mention of the president of the United States? They're going to have to go out on a big limb. They're going to have to twist some things around and try to reinterpret this whole legislation here, because there is no way that they have him on insurrection. The media, the enemy of the people, remember, the media is the enemy of the people, has accused him, but he has never been he's never been convicted of any crime.
Well, he does have till January 4th of 2024 to file an appeal. So we'll see. And he's going to. Trump has stated that he will be ruling, according to NBC News, reporting that he is going to file an appeal. No shock there, rightfully so. So hopefully this will, spark other states to take action to, not having an unconstitutional act of removing somebody that wasn't even charged for what they're claiming he did, is inciting an insurrection. And we've gone down the conversation of whether he incited insurrection or not. My question is isn't that what our founding fathers wanted? Our founding fathers wanted us to insurrect unlawful, tyrannical government leaders. Like, that's what the entire basis of our U.S. government was founded on. And I think honestly you're going to have to insurrect the government at some sort of way at this point, if it's become such a tyrannical beast that doesn't seem to slow down. How many a matter of attacks you put on it. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do think there's a point where people need to uprise, and I do think they're trying to use something as innocuous of January 6th, where people were mostly peacefully protesting. There's a lot of questions that people should be having. I'm going to quote the great Vivek. There is a lot more evidence that points out that there were feds inside of January 6th who were stirring and agitating things up, especially when they're inviting people in and throwing tear gas and rubber bullets into a crowd. There is a lot of ways where it does look like a setup, and this setup then allows them to try to remove him. We already watched COVID. We already watched all this type of stuff. They can't fool us again with this novel stuff. But I actually do want to read off one more thing. So Trump's campaign spokesperson, Stephen Chung, wrote a statement, and he filed it on Tuesday night. And it says, unsurprisingly, all Democrat-appointed Colorado Supreme Court has ruled against President Trump supporting a Soros-funded left-wing group scheme to interfere in the election on behalf of crooked Joe Biden by removing Trump's name from the ballot. That's interesting right there. I did not know that it was a Soros-funded operation. I think that we should look into that more because we talk about this all the time. There is and there are nefarious actors. There are people who are being funded by Soros, by NGOs, by different international organizations who have infiltrated our country and who have infiltrated our judicial system. That is attack from within and attack from without. If people are infiltrating America, Soros, remember, not American, lives in Canada, from Hungary, banned from 5 countries, is actually influencing American politics as well as American law, then there should be some sanctions or some reprisal from the American protectorate in order to go after him. That is the purpose of the executive branch of the United States, the commander-in-chief, the commander of the military, commander of everything. That's why they're so afraid of Donald Trump, because I do believe that Donald Trump will be going after different entities such as the Soros Group, as well as even the World Economic Forum. We saw his stance with NATO as well as with the Paris Climate Accords, where he took us out of it and then made everyone pay their own share and said, like, America, we're gonna renegotiate all these treaties and all these deals that we have. NAFTA, the TPPP. He was able to go after them all, and I do think maybe Donald Trump has found some new enemies, and rightfully so.
None of these enemies want to take down America. I think it's obvious that we have found, or we're now seeing it all come together, where you see one movement, the MAGA movement, not just one man, because the MAGA movement is so much more than just Donald Trump, but we see the American people and their way of life being attacked by these global entities. The UN, the EU, the World Health Organization, George Soros, infiltrating every aspect of America, the institutions, the entertainment industry, like everything is being manipulated by people that we don't even elect. And Donald Trump is in the way of what we want to do, or what they want to do. And I think that's why he's the clearest threat towards the globalists. Now he's not perfect. That Donald Trump is not imperfect. No, I think Micah over here, he's a Trump perfectionist. Is this true?
That I am. He has never done anything wrong. I worship the ground he walks on. You see, even the things that aren't actually the great things that he did, 5D chess. I'm just admiring him, bruh. You know?
All right. Well, in other news, so Vivek Ramaswamy is actually standing up against this. So this is what I like to see amongst the conservatives, because a lot of them want to play, hardball with one another. And Ramaswamy, that's a lot of money.
And that goes to all of our listeners as well. I'm about to be broke. Actually, probably not. They're going to owe me money, actually, after that one. No one supports Nikki Haley.
Nobody. You have maybe a select few people that are supporting her. But good for Vivek Ramaswamy in doing this. Do you think this has any implications? Let's say he is taken off the ballot. His Supreme Court appeal does not play out. Do you think other states follow this?
I do think other states will. Part of the reason why is this is... Okay, let's go follow this hypothetical. Donald Trump loses in the Senate. It's now deemed that states can remove him off. They're going to use Colorado's precedent for their own states. I do think that different attorneys and district attorneys, as well as state delegates, are going to be going after him. I think Arizona is going to be a state that they're going to go after him in. I do think a couple of the battleground states, Pennsylvania, they're definitely going to try to take him off the ballot. Same thing with Wisconsin and Michigan. They have to go after him there, because if they can get him off of those ballots alone, Biden wins. I do think that their play might be just a long game. You take Donald Trump off the ballot for a couple weeks, people start losing faith. People start going, oh, what's going on? Donald Trump fights them in the courts. He wins in the courts. Too late. Your election's already stolen. That's the play that we have right now. Because in the same way Donald Trump fought Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania said, oh yeah, our election was unconstitutional. We're sorry about that. Are you going to give the diamonds back? No, they stole them. And then they never returned the diamonds. And that's one of the things that we need to be very careful of. And I do think that there is a place where we need to almost be wary of their plot here, because if we're following down the rabbit hole of ideas, was COVID their method of doing universal mail-in ballots, where they're willing to shut down the economy, throw the world into chaos, kill millions of people through starvation just to get them off the ballot. And I do think that's interesting. I do think that they're willing to pull out all stops, because hypothetically he gets back in, they're all done. Or they will stop at nothing, destroy as much as they possibly can, the destruction in their wake, in order to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't get reinstated.
Well, 2024 is right around the corner, and this is when they're probably going to start ramping up the propaganda, censorship even more, the crazy false flags, real attacks. Who knows what's going to be happening? So I say just be looking out and be paying attention to what's going on, to not be duped, and to fall for another COVID-style mail-in election steal again.
Yeah, so they did it once, they'll try it again, and they're going to look for any possibility. Zane was showing me the video of the movie that the Obamas just produced.
Leave the World Behind.
Exactly, and it was all about that predictive programming. And so Zane's been showing me so much material that's been coming out recently. He even showed me a trailer for the movie Civil War. Predictive programming, you think?
Yeah, a movie about the Civil War happening, divide between the left and the right, and coming up to an apocalyptic war. I mean, it's amazing what we see in Hollywood ends up becoming true. I mean, how many of those Simpsons episodes predicted so boldly what happened today?
A lot.
Throws your mind. I mean, the number one was the golden escalator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had Donald Trump coming down an escalator, and then it happens 15 years later. Pretty wild. So who really knows what's true and what's predictive programming, and what's maybe they have the script to what's gonna play out. Maybe they're all like Biff from Back to the Future 2, where he's got the almanac to know what the score is. Who really knows? So
that is interesting what you say there. Scripted. Because there is certain sections of people who think that things are scripted. Do you think there's any weight to that? Do you think that this is... I was joking about it a little earlier. Do you think there is 5D chess on there? Or do you think this is just 2D chess where Donald Trump's playing the hand that he's been dealt?
I definitely think it's multi-dimensional. I think most people are at the 3D level of it. And then it goes like 4-dimensional, where like 20% of people are under there. And then like... you have like 1% of people that are like 5-dimensional with understanding what's actually going on. I like to think I'm like 3D, maybe not quite 4D, just because like, I'm just a stupid peasant, right? But I think that's multi-dimensional, and it's hard to really understand how deep the rabbit hole goes, how deep the control, because everybody knows that there's an administrative state, but it's just how far are you willing to say that the deep state actually goes.
Yeah, that is a really interesting thing, because knowing that the IRS is corrupt is kind of like, oh yeah, of course, everyone knows that. But who controls the IRS? Oh, it's the
bankers.
Bankers. Okay, who controls the bankers? Well, the Rothschilds. And then who controls the Rothschilds? Is there people beyond that? Where does Donald Trump fit in that? Is Donald Trump... Because I know you and I have had discussions about this before, where we say to ourselves, what if Donald Trump himself is the psyop? What if he is the false hope that's held out? And you kind of go like, how deep can we take this? How deep is the control that this unseen enemy has on our lives? How much of our life are they holding on to? How much are they actually hiding from us and saying, actually, this is your real enemy? Not like this is your enemy. Don't look over here. And then,
we see Greg Abbott now in this state. If it's illegal to come across the border as a state, they made it like a state law now, which should be an illegal thing to do as a federal. What we see is these leaders don't stand up and don't actually do anything, because have any of these border states done anything? I mean, I understand it's the federal government's charge to come in and take care of this situation, but if the federal government isn't stepping in, shouldn't the states do something?
Yeah, the states definitely need to be doing some stuff. I know a lot of the states, they delegate their power for their borders to the federal government because it is intercommerce, international trade, international. It's an international ordeal because states cannot deal with other countries. It has to all go through. But I digress to the point of, do you notice how you haven't actually seen as much immigration in California and in Arizona? The reason why is because the wall had been built there. Donald Trump put in 500 miles of wall, started from California. It didn't get to Texas yet. Donald Trump put the wall there ready to be built. Biden removed it completely. And so one of the things that we see with that is one of the reasons why we have such a bad time with illegal crossings right now is we don't have a physical barrier. They have, a couple 2x4s on the ground and a buoy in the water. And that's the reason why we're seeing so many people continuously cross over into America unchecked. And there is no political will from the Biden administration to stop this because that's their future voters. Because all these people, when they register in random states and they get their identification number, they are going to be able to vote in local elections. And we've seen that. And I think this is like 40 shows ago, I pulled up the totals of how many immigrants from in the last 3 years have gone to each state. And it's very heavily weighted to swing states. Different swing states have received more people than non-swing states. So, for example, when you have some place like Iowa, they've received a lot more immigrants, even though they're nowhere near the border, than a place like Washington or a place like Texas. Oh, maybe Texas has a lot as well, but the number is outrageous, and you see a pattern. Why is there so many illegal immigrants in Wisconsin? Why is there so many in Michigan? Why is there so many in Pennsylvania? Disproportionately so to states that aren't swing states. And I do think that there's a nefarious plot behind that, and that's why there's no political will, because why would they want to stop their future supporters? Why would they want to stop their future voters in general? That's one of the biggest problems.
And how upsetting is it to you that these immigrants get to come over here and get to take all of our public commodities? They get to be put first on the list for the taxpayer dollars to go to them. And, it's such a priority to solve these people. I mean, dude, look, it's a legit problem when you have people like this coming over here that, maybe don't speak our language. They don't understand our culture, our way of life. They just come from a really corrupt regime of government. And they know America is great and prosperous, but I don't think they understand that you can't just come over here and you're going to be prosperous. You're going to have everything that you've got to work for it. And I just don't think a lot of these immigrants are seeing that when they come over here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. But doesn't it just upset you that we have these people coming and taking our public resources?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we see here is the amount of resources that they take all could be going to our roads, all could be going to our infrastructure. I know that things are bad in some countries, and I know that things are hard in a lot of places, but at the same time, how is that a problem for me? How is that a problem for an American? Why am I supporting different countries' individuals? Why am I supporting foreign nationals when my own country has problems? We shouldn't be putting the will and the feelings of other people ahead of Americans. We need to put Americans first. And that's one of the whole things that we need to have as Americans. Sovereignty. If everyone is now a benefactor of the American system, then no one is. How can I continuously pay more and more money into a system that I don't get the benefits of? Why am I paying Social Security taxes? Why am I paying?
Her Delta flight appears to be flying migrants who crossed the border and are being shipped to New York. She asked the representative if this was the case. His response was, "What does it matter? They're humans too." And this is what most people, I think, this is the angle that I want to take this, is what does it matter? They're humans too. Because I feel like most people on the left, or the more sensible people, will be like, well, they're human beings and we've got to help them and provide refuge to them and be charitable. Because isn't Isn't that what Christians do, Micah? Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Is we're supposed to be helping people and being charitable? Or should we put our sovereignty in our nation first? I mean, it's kind of what we're talking about. You don't sell out because you want to feel good about something. You put your sovereignty and the rights of your nation first. But do you think these emotions are valid? Or what do you make of that?
That is a good question. Because we do care for the poor. We do care about different people. But at the same time, it isn't our responsibility to fix every single bit of the world's problems. America fixing every single bit of the world's problems, and I say that with quotes, has led to wars and countries' poverty. One of the biggest things I see is oftentimes my own religious affiliations and my own Christian beliefs gets twisted and distorted. So you'll see a lot of people say, hey, isn't it the good Christian thing to do to vote Democrat because you care for other people and you don't actually put responsibility first? Well, that's a interesting point, but Jesus goes out and goes as far as saying, if you don't work, you don't eat. So the Christian thing would be get rid of all welfare programs, because if it's the church's responsibility to take care of orphans and widows, not men. The Bible says nothing about men getting assistance, because if you don't work, you don't eat. That's Jesus right there. At the same time, so when people try to turn the Bible and say, hey, it's the will of basically your beliefs, it's the will of God in order for you to really help every single person in the world, I go like, no, stop trying to use my belief system against me. Just because I am easily swayed to compassion because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I'm stupid and I don't know my own religion. If you don't work, you don't eat. And a state has a sovereignty to itself. Do they say the same thing about Israel? Oh, Israel should open their borders and allow everyone in? No, they don't say that at all. They quite literally say the opposite thing. We see our neocons say we need to go to war for Israel to protect their borders. Same thing with Ukraine. We need to go to war with every single person who's going against their borders because we need to protect that country. We need to protect their way of life. But when it comes to us, they say, open your borders, do the good Christian thing, allow every single person in, and you get to pay for it as well. Oh, thank you. I'm so happy I get to pay for your kindness. More lunacy. They're lunatics trying to push their propaganda onto us, and I'm done with people trying to twist Christianity, with trying to twist my own ideology against me and use it as a weapon. One of the things that we see as well with this mass immigration is not only does, because that is really interesting, that news story you pulled up about how Delta is flying people to New York, migrants, and shipping them all over the United States. There's more things like that happen. How many hotels have been converted into refugee centers, being paid for by who? Taxpayer. The taxpayer's paying for all of it. So when you see, oh, there's a whole bunch of illegal immigrants on an airplane and now a whole bunch of illegal immigrants in hotels, who do you think is actually paying the hotel to do that? Department of Defense, Department of Justice. This is one of those departments. It's a 3-letter agency who is against the will of the American people. We continuously see this over and over again, and it became full circle when it finally became a national story with New York, where they were shutting down some of the biggest hotels in New York, housing people. It doesn't just happen in New York. It happens in every single state. It happens in every single city. I know in my own state of San Diego, or California, in San Diego, they shut down so many hotels. You know, I used to be in the hotel industry, and I watched it firsthand as the government basically bought out a whole bunch of hotels and just made migration centers there. And they put up fences around it so no one could actually see what's going on. They put up security fences that you couldn't see through, so you had no idea what was going on, and then they declared it a no-go zone. And so then they had police officers guarding it as well, so that not so that people didn't get out, so that people didn't inquire. That's one of the problems that we see. Our government, our deep state, our own people who are supposed to represent and protect us, the people that we put in charge, we the people that we put in power use their power to rape and pillage the American way of life. Is it kindness that I allow this to happen? No. It is moroncy. It's lunacy. It is a complete waste of my resources because I work, therefore I eat. They don't work, therefore they should not eat, if I'm following my biblical perspective.
Yeah, and the problem is, I think where most people come from that
back and forth.
All right, so there it is. We have the story pulled up. So this is just one of it, but here's the flag on the left, the proposed flag on the left, and the state flag of Puntland region of Somalia. Now, if you don't know, one of the House Representatives, Ilhan Omar, is from Somalia, and conveniently enough, their flag looks pretty damn identical to Somalia. Now, what it was before was a silly... was this silly state flag? Let's find it right here. They probably won't even show it on here. Here is the previous flag. So they went from this, because it shows somebody using farm equipment, and it has a native Indian in the back. They went from this to this. What are your thoughts?
We got a little Ilhan Omar action right there. That's her state, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that we're seeing hostile takeover of our country, and that's going to be the first representation. You have the same colors, you have the same star, or you have the same iconography. I do think it's just more proof that we are moving further and further to... I think it's proof that we're going further and further towards, I don't know, hostile takeover. Like the first thing is changing our flags. It's the same thing we see at the gay flag. Is you put that every single place in our street, and you'll be able to completely take over people's minds because it is a hostile force. It is a hostile force that is going up against us, and we don't want this. We don't want this type of ideology. We don't want the Somalian way of life.
Yeah, it's steering us away from the meaning of our flag and what our flag actually means. And, you know, I'm kind of disappointed. They denied my flag, the flag that I was going to submit. I actually didn't submit it, but I was going to submit a flag of George Floyd.
Oh, really?
I think it would have been tremendous to have George Floyd up on the new Minnesota flag, hanging out with his buddy Derek Chauvin.
Nice.
There would have been nothing better to have that type of flag for the state of Minnesota. Or just have George Floyd's face on there with a $20 bill. Fake $20 bill, that is.
Yeah. So we got a couple comments here. Thank you for the comments. We appreciate them. So the first one is they should kick all of the Somalis out of the United States. That's interesting. What do you think about that, Zane? And I would love, S. Zigbob? We'd love to know why you say that.
I mean, I'm totally in agreement with them. Why? That's a great question.
We just want them out.
Won't get me kicked off the air. We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube. So why I believe the Somalians should get out of the United States. Well, look, if you're Somalian, you want to come over here, you want to conduct yourself in the proper way, to go through the citizenship and take a test, understand what sovereignty is about, by all means do that. If you want to participate in our society and do right by providing value for the economy, by all means do so. If you're not going to commit crime, you're not going to steal anything, hurt anybody, by all means. I think the problem what we have is it's not they're people, it's just a culture that doesn't jive with American culture, is why so many people are against them. Yeah, some of them stink, they can't drive, and we can go down that rabbit hole. It's just a different culture, and I think that's one thing. It's hard to be a melting pot culture, to have a strong, dominant culture of, you have whites, blacks, Mexicans, and then Somalians. You don't see them overtaking the institutions unless you're Ilhan Omar. She's one of the few, but is she really Somalian? Who knows?
I may take it a little bit further than both of you guys. I don't think that we should just kick out the Somalians. I think that we should kick out every single person from the Middle East that isn't a Christian. I think that
Christian nationalism?
Yeah, I've always been a
yeah.
Christian nationalist. I think that Christianity should rule America. I'm not saying which denomination, as long as it's not weird denomination.
Hey, that's why we're called Base Boys Media and BasedCast, you know?
Yeah. So actually, let me read the comment real quick. You're right. When it comes to the United States, you will behave as citizens of the United States, or you will leave. More than just that. So like, I do agree with that if you're not a good citizen of the United States, you should be kicked out. But even more than just behaving, I do think ideologically, we are so different from the Middle East that we cannot actually take them. That's one of the reasons why I love the Muslim ban, because we shouldn't be taking Muslims in, because when you have a denomination of people or a sect of people or a group of people, we cannot take in people who fundamentally disagree with Christian ideology of free will, of people being equal, because God sees all people equal, and the ideas of Christianity don't jive with these two subjects.
So you're telling me you don't have a coexist bumper sticker?
I do not have a coexist bumper sticker because we cannot coexist with other people. The thing is, and it's plain and simple, Christians and Muslims cannot coexist because we fundamentally disagree about life, and our cultures are fundamentally different. The Christian culture is perfect for Christians because we believe in non-violence and that all people have the right to change. Muslims, and underneath Sharia law, if you commit a crime, Allah will punish you, and we will take your hand and your head, and we will rape your woman just to prove a point. Hey, if you were molested, then we might as well rape you in order to punish you for the crime that you just committed. And so we're so fundamentally different that we should not be taking. The only people that should be in America is Catholics and Christians. Everyone else, kick them out.
How about the Jews?
They probably shouldn't be here either. and so even with that, like a little bit of a joke on that one, but
sure,
America is Christian. And so when we allow people who don't believe in Jesus Christ, and we allow people such as
people up,
sometimes you just gotta round them all up.
Well, yeah, I think we've got to get back to understanding the American ideology. That's what the show's all about, is getting people to understand that America is freedom for all, and the three things that the government is supposed to protect is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they clearly don't do that. They oversell their abilities. They want to provide every public commodity for you nowadays. They want to be the victor in all of your problems, and bring back and make individualism great again. I mean, you can be an individual and basically live on your own nowadays, but honestly, everything is done at the behest of corporations and massive government bureaucracy, and I think it's draining human consciousness away. And I think we've got to be careful moving forward into, like, especially AI, because I think that's what man does with it and how because AI is just the scrape of human consciousness, correct? So I think we just have to be cautious of what people do with it and how that's going to further the propaganda and further us away from American civics that make us great, and helping people understand, what it is to be an American, what it is to be a Christian, and, just pro-human, pro-freedom values. So be aware, be awake, have a family, have kids, and put your faith in God.
Yeah, one last question for you before we close down the show. Tucker Carlson was on an interview a couple days ago, or like yesterday, and he was saying that the death of American creativity happened after the nuclear bomb was dropped.
I did hear this.
And his for the audience, his point was what great American literature, what great American art came out after Americans' dominance, because we no longer need it. Like, can you name 3 books that came out in America that is before or is after 1945? And the answer is no. Do you think that AI will be the final nail in the coffin of American literature, art, culture? Do you think that will actually kill us even more than the drop of the nuclear bomb, since at that point we will have no creativity because AI does everything for us?
Dude, I mean, I think AI does 50% for a lot of people in the tech and social media world. I know a specific industry where they use almost everything they do is artificial intelligence. Even their support staff is artificial intelligence. You would think you're sitting there talking to a real person, texting somebody through a service, and you think it's real. You think it's a real person, but then you find out it's AI. You've also been on phone calls with people before, like with institutions where it's like, you think you're talking, like call your bank and you think you're talking to a real person, but you ask one question and you can clearly tell that it's like artificial intelligence. And I think it's taking away a lot of our abilities to do things, to write creatively. I mean, I know people that use it for videos. There's video softwares that can make it look like you're just talking straight to the camera without even making eye contact. Things can make you smile now. You can write an Instagram description. You can write an entire video script. You can make an entire podcast with AI. It's not that good enough, but like you could literally be sitting on the other end of this Base Boys podcast, and I could like be completely AI. It could be completely programmed through a database of AI completely. And I think we're going to be there in a couple of years. I mean, if you go through some of the software that they have now, it's getting really close to where you can't tell whether it's animated or not. So kind of a long-winded answer on that. I don't really remember what your question was, but I don't think it's going to better society. I think it's just going to rid of human communication. For example, the GPS. Or a calculator, I think, is the prime example. Like, people used to know how to do basic math before a calculator. Now people can't even do basic math. Like, in their head, everyone pulls out a calculator. I do it. I mean, I'm not saying I'm better than you.
But maybe.
Just maybe. Just maybe.
Well, there we go. That was a good... I like the answer.
Well, sorry. Long-winded answers is how we go on BasedCast. That's what we do. We love long-winded conversations, and we are ready to bring you... high-value conversations, thought-provoking conversations, and go where the corporate mainstream media refuses to go, and talk about the most popular conversations. So, Micah, glad to have you on the show. Commenters, thank you. We love you. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends, share this with